You're listening to the Daily Mishnah Podcast with Benedict.
Now, we've always said, as we've gone through the whole of the Seder, the whole of the order of Nashim, of women, we've always said that one of the themes running through the Seder is the power of the word, the power of a verbal contract, and of course the limitations of that contract in terms of setting conditions or possibly requesting conditions that are impossible. And for that matter, whether someone can be believed when they give their word. And we're going to see all of these questions coalesce in the middle of this third chapter of Kiddushin as we work through different types of conditional situations. And the Mishnah begins actually with what seems to be a very simple situation. Someone betroths a woman and then declares, I thought that she was a priest's daughter. Interestingly, he doesn't betroth her on condition that she's a priest's daughter. He doesn't hand over the money for the Kiddushin saying, I betroth you on condition you're a priest's daughter. He doesn't make the condition explicit. And of course, we've said all the way through, of course, everything has to be explicit in Kiddushin. So he doesn't make this condition explicit. But then he goes back later and says, Savur Haiti Shahi Chohedet. I thought, when I handed over the Kiddushin, I thought she was a priest's daughter. V'harehi Leviah. And behold, she's a Leviah, she's a daughter of a Levi. So I had the wrong impression. And then we're going to continue. Leviah v'harehi Chohedet. Or I thought she was a daughter of a Levi, but behold, she's a daughter of a priest. Aniyah v'harehi Ashira. I thought she was poor, but behold, she's wealthy. Ashira v'harehi Aniyah. Wealthy, but I thought she was poor. The Mishnah rules, Harei zo mukudeshet. She's still engaged. Mipnei shelo hit ato. Because she didn't deceive him. He cannot come along later saying, oh yeah, well, I had the wrong impression. If an impression is important, if it was important that she's wealthy or poor or a priestess or a daughter of a priest or he has to make this clear at the point of Kiddushin as a condition for the Kiddushin. You can't just say, oh yeah, well, I thought something and dissolve the Kiddushin later. And of course, we can see because Kiddushin, it's a the giving and accepting Kiddushin is a material act. They need to get a bill of divorce to get dissolved. We can't have someone just drag up something afterwards. But there's always a but. The Mishnah is going to produce now some other examples where he does produce specific conditions. And we'll see, by the way, they don't work. So we'll see examples of conditionality which absolutely don't affect Kiddushin. Behold, you're betrothed to me after I convert. So I'm not Jewish. But I will be, I hope. Or after you convert. So you're not Jewish, but I hope you will be. After I become a free man. After you become a free person. After your husband dies. She's currently married. She's not free to accept Kiddushin. In fact, as we're going through these examples, we're noticing, by the way, that in none of these situations are the Kiddushin valid. So a non-Jew can't give Kiddushin, can't give or receive Kiddushin. A slave can't give or receive Kiddushin. You cannot give Kiddushin to a married woman. After your Yavam performs chalitza for you. This looks like this woman is connected to a Yavam, but she hasn't done chalitza yet. Again, she can't accept the Kiddushin in this situation. And because she can't accept the Kiddushin, the Mishnah rules Eina Mukudeshet. She's not betrothed. The Kiddushin don't work. Even if you are currently ineligible to contract Kiddushin, you can't give Kiddushin on the basis that you will become eligible in future. If you're not eligible now, you have to wait for the status to change. Similarly, someone who says to his friend, if your wife gives birth to a girl, she's going to be betrothed to me. Again, we don't know. Maybe we know his wife is pregnant, but we don't know that she's going to give birth. And we certainly don't know that she's carrying a girl. Lo amar klum. He hasn't said anything. When we're dealing with Kiddushin, we need to deal with an actuality. We can't deal with a possibility. But we can still lay out conditions. So behold, you're betrothed to me on condition that I speak to the government on your behalf. Really, really interesting. And it suggests that government then was not very different from government now. You need an advocate. So he's going to betroth her on condition that he advocates for her. Or that I work for you. So he's made a condition in this case. If he fulfills the condition, if he spoke to the government on our behalf, or he worked for her as a laborer, she's betrothed. If not, she's not betrothed. So now we're back in classic conditionality. The condition is fulfilled, it works. The condition is not fulfilled, it doesn't work. What if the condition can't be fulfilled? Ve'im mate almanat sheyirtse abba, on condition that father consent. Not sure which father we're talking about here, but maybe it's not important. Ratzah av mukudeshet. If the father consents, she's betrothed. That's easy. Ve'im lav eina mukudeshet. If not, she's not betrothed. Mate ha'av. What if the father dies? Harezor mukudeshet. She's betrothed. We assume that the father would normally give consent. Normally, we expect the father to consent. Mate haben. If the son dies, melamdim et ha'av shiomar ani rotze. Melamdim et ha'av shiomar ani rotze. We teach, or they teach the father to say he does not consent. We do not want this woman to be mukudeshet, to be engaged to someone who's already dead. It would mean that, for example, she'd require yibum or chalitza if he had a brother. It would cause all kinds of difficulties. So in this case, we tell the father to say, "Oh yeah, no, I didn't give my consent." I've given my daughter in betrothal, but I don't know to whom I betrothed her. So this is a girl between 12 and 12 and a half. The father could marry her off, can give Kiddushin on her behalf, but he can't remember. He can't remember the identity of the person that he gave Kiddushin to. Sorry, that he accepted Kiddushin from. Of course, this is a terrible situation because for the meantime, she's forbidden. She's forbidden to every single man. She cannot be married. And yet, if we don't know the identity of this man, well, she can never be married to anybody. So what happens? Ba echad ve'amar ani kidashtiha ne'eman. Someone comes and states, I betrothed her. Well, we believe him. So we don't have witnesses in this situation, but we believe him. This will get her out of the situation. If this one says I betrothed her and the other one says I betrothed her, if there's an argument, they both have to give a get. We can only resolve it with both of them giving a get. Ve'im ratzu, echad noten get, ve'echad hones. If they wanted, in other words, if they agreed, one of them could give a get, and then, of course, the other one could marry him.
Thank you for listening to this edition of the Daily Mishnah Podcast with Benedict.